had the greatest job in the world, and that's working with dogs.
Best in Show winner is the French Bulldog.
Winston won the National Dog Show. It was amazing. It was exciting. And to have a dog to be #1 dog in this country, you have to have great nutrition. And I always fed Pro Plan. Just like us, when we eat well, we feel good. And I just love that food and what it's done all these years to all the dogs I've bred and all the dogs I've shown.
Welcome to Pure Dog Talk. I am your host, Laura Reeves, and we're going to have a conversation today, y'all. It's not going to be an easy one, and I want everyone out there in listener land to know, just going in, this is going to be a tough convo. So if you feel like you can't hang with some stuff, then maybe give it a rest and catch the next one. But today I'm talking to Mary Dukes and Lindsay Fetters, Lindsay, and Carissa Shimpeno, if she can make it. And we're going to talk about ShowSafe, and we're going to talk about how and why this sort of grassroots organization came together and what it entails and what the goals are. So welcome, ladies. I'm really, really glad to have you here.
Thank you much.
Thanks for having us.
All right.
Yeah.
Mary, I'm going to start with you. Listeners will remember Mary and I had the conversation about Safe Sport when I did her interview a couple months ago. So I'm going to let you take the lead on this one, Mary, and talk about how and why this particular spinoff got started.
Yeah, this spinoff. We got, and actually Carissa was instrumental initially in getting Safe Sport enacted for the AKCRHP, which is the Registered Handlers Program. Because she had talked to me in Orlando several years ago about experiences she'd had, and now that she was a mom, found that she was like super protective of her kids and her girls that worked for her, and there must be something we can do. And so I knew about Safe Sport through my daughter, who's a professional horse trainer. And Safe Sport is a congressionally mandated, government mandated program for all Olympic sports that came in after, the multitude of abuses in gymnastics, swimming, diving, I could go on. So anyway, I was familiar with it because my daughter shows horses, and since equestrian events are an Olympic sport, she has to take Safe Sport and a re-up every year. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so I got it in for the Registered Handlers Program. And then I always had wanted to expand it, and I always advocated to expand it to, at the very least, juniors judges. Mm-hmm. But while I was employed by the AKC, I was never able to get that done. Mm-hmm. Because I kept hitting a brick wall. So anyway, and Safe Sport, essentially, would it have, this whole thing came to a head because of, let's just, say it, Adam King. Mm-hmm. Because let's be real, who saw that coming? Like
nobody.
No one.
I had to go take down 3 podcast episodes.
Yeah.
3
podcast
episodes.
Nobody saw that coming.
Yeah.
And would this have done anything to prevent that? I don't think anything. A background check wouldn't have helped. He hadn't been busted yet. This wouldn't have helped. There were no tells clearly to any of us. Except the FBI, who's very good at that sort of thing, that this was even a thing. I never got a creepy vibe from him. No. I liked him.
No,
there it is.
Like I said, I spent a good bit of time with him on the podcast, ringside, doing mentoring. I wasn't a close personal friend, but I got none of it.
Yeah. He was charming, funny, smart, all those things. Anyway, so everybody obviously was reeling after this came out. And Lindsay is the one who sent me a message. And Lindsay, I think that you had reached out to me previously on Safe Sport because everybody has a story. Everybody has a story.
Definitely.
So some Lindsay, to varying degrees. Right. I feel like mine is relatively minor in the big scheme of things, but everybody has a story of being inappropriately touched, inappropriately propositioned, all that. So fast
So,
forward
Lindsay,
a couple days ago.
tell us why you came to Mary.
So I definitely agree. I mean, everyone's up in arms, and I think historically we all something happens, everybody jumps and rushes, no matter what it is. Violence, guns, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
People react and everybody wants to do something, but I feel like a lot of people put it off on somebody else. Like,
Yes.
okay, the government needs to do this, the AKC needs to do this, somebody, it's like we're upset about something, but we're saying that it needs to be somebody else's mission,
Yeah.
and so I sort of was reflecting on what can we do, like what can I do, what can you do, what can
Right.
we do as a fancy, because I think if anybody can be united over something, it's united over protecting our children.
Yeah.
I don't know a single person who would disagree with the mission of let's do better for our next generation.
Yeah.
And, but it's hard to invoke change. It's hard to start a movement. It's hard to unite people as just one solo person, especially in our sport. I'm a breeder, owner, handler, and I have great relationships, but I know that I'm not going to get anything done on my own, no matter how dedicated I am. So, because we'd had previous discussions, I remember when Carissa and Stacy and Mary had a discussion on safe sport, previously, I reached out to Mary and just said, what do you think about? And my idea was basically, let's do a grassroots movement. Let's control what we can control, and let's let people know that this training and this option is out there. And instead of mandating or instead of controlling somebody or demanding somebody do it, because I think that immediately puts somebody on edge, like let's say, okay, look, this option's out here. Let's pursue it. And if you do, we want to let other people know. We want to let juniors know. We want to let other people in our sport know that we've had this training and we're here to be a listening ear and we're here to provide support. And so I reached out to Mary and said, hey, like, what do you think about us, offering? I mean, it's just us. Like, we're not. Oh.
Hey, guess who's coming to join us?
Is Rissa here?
Rissa is here. Hi, Carissa. Hang on.
Hey.
I'm gonna find you a spot to be in our conversation.
Shimpeno is revolutionizing medical insurance for pets by providing the best possible experience to our members. And it's not some space-age dream. It's happening now. We pay your veterinarian directly while you're checking out, and we're the only ones who can, which means you have decisions in seconds, and you don't have to wait for reimbursement. So unlike with other providers, you'll keep more money in your pocket. Ask your veterinarian if Shimpeno can pay them directly, because there's pet insurance, and then there's Shimpeno.
I'm Laura Reeves, the host of Pure Dog Talk, and I'm coming today to talk to you about Brilliant Pad. And it is amazing and an incredible way for me to do my potty training with the puppies and not ever have to touch any yucky stuff. Brilliant Pad literally rolls the mess up and you never touch it. So I really wanted to talk to you guys about that, share with you the experience I had with it. It's like the most amazing thing you've ever seen. Okay, Carissa Shimpeno has joined us. I'm so excited. Welcome, Carissa.
Thank you.
Excellent. So, Lindsay, you were talking about this grassroots concept, and I really love it. And I really love, I'm just going to say it, the power of peer pressure. I love it. It is the most useful tool we have to make social change. And you guys nailed it. And I really love that. And I also think that so much of what's going on this week in the sport about Adam, about the other Adam, about all the things is about fear. And I think that the way we conquer fear is by being empowered, and knowledge is power. So that's my thinking. I also think that I was unaware that I could just go click a button, pay $20 and go through this program. I thought it had to come top down. So the beauty, the genius of what you guys have accomplished is finding a way to have it come from the bottom up. So Carissa, talk to us about why that resonates with you and why it was something you really wanted to help push forward.
Sure. So I guess I would have to say my biggest learning experience in what works and what doesn't work started last year when, that we had a handler who had been to prison for raping his minor assistant, and he was returning to the world of dogs. And in my mind, I thought, well, what a beautiful way to show the young people of our sport that we actually have their back. Why don't we try and make some kind of policy within AKC that says, if you've been convicted of X, Y, and Z, that we can't stop you from coming to the dog shows, we can't stop you from existing, and we can't make you a better person, but we can send a message to our little people and men and women around the sport in general, just saying this is not what we're about. We're going to take a stand, and we're going to draw a line in the sand. Because I have not worked in the corporate world, I really I couldn't understand how it was even a thought process. And some of the feedback that I got was very triggering. And everything that I did was emotion based. It was like, but this is right. But we're right. And this is the right thing to do. And that's all I could think. Like, it was almost like tunnel vision.
Right.
And a year ago, Mary actually said, why don't we stop asking AKC to do this and we do something ourselves? And my response in that moment was like, because that's not right. We have to be the better people. Like, we have to make them do what's right. That mindset got me exactly nowhere at all. It landed with the people that it didn't need to land with. Like the empaths of our world were like, oh my God, of course.
Right.
But we can't live in a world of just empaths. No one can. We need all types of people. And what I was doing was alienating a very large group of people that we needed to make something happen that would actually help our sport. So when this came up a year later, and, therapy is a miracle. So I did lots of that this past year. But when this subject came up a year later and Lindsay came out, I reached out to Mary. I don't remember which one of us reached out to which one. And we were like, okay, it's happening again. Like, let's do something. Let's rally the troops. And Lindsay reached out with this exact same thing, but maybe a little more organized. And it was like, oh, yeah, this actually hit you in the head a year ago, but you were so tunnel blind. And I only bring that up because we have this large portion of people out there who are just they're stuck in the injustice of it. And I want them to understand that we get that. And we don't want to minimize the pain, the trauma, or anything they've been through. But our group of people has learned through experience that we need everybody to receive this message. And in order for that to happen, we have to be way more organized and focused. We are not a vigilante team. This has nothing to do with the perpetrators themselves.
Right.
It's not even about necessarily protecting, it's about empowering. Right? Like, through knowledge, through education. Mary, what's our 3-word slogan again? That's safe sports.
See, now that you've asked me that in a pinch, no, it's prevent, recognize, respond.
Respond. Yeah.
Yes.
Respond.
Right? So
prevent,
yes.
recognize, respond.
So Mary, can you pick
and
up on
the Safe Sport training program, it just gives you the tools to do that.
That's what I was just going to ask. If you could pick up on what Carissa was saying. And Carissa, I really have to give you some mad props because what you just said really resonated with me. Like, the injustice piece to the grassroots piece. I think that is such an important transition. And I think, we're seeing just an awful lot of vigilantism and witch hunting and attacking that's doing more damage than the original damage, to be honest.
Yes.
To be honest.
I agree.
And so, Mary, I want you, if you would please, because I have not I downloaded it. I paid for it. I just haven't had a minute to sit and go through
Yeah.
it. Could you
Yeah.
please walk us through what is this $20 course that I just bought? What am I going to learn? What are the important things?
Well,
And is it appropriate for a child to take? That's my next question.
well, okay, here's the thing. That's sort of the beauty of the Safe Sport platform is that they have what we're right now, what we're promoting, what we're telling people to take is the core course,
Right.
which is it's basically for adults.
Mhm.
It's for adults, and it talks about what to look for. It talks about things like this isn't like a monster hiding behind the bushes. That's not what these people are. They're people in well, like Adam.
Adam.
Like
Yeah.
they're just people that you would never suspect this of.
And I think an important thing that I want to bring forward is to think about they may be people in your home.
Yes.
Absolutely. I think more often than not, there are people, they can be
Yes.
people in your home or in your inner circle, in your close group of,
Mhm.
yeah, it's not a stranger more
Right.
times than not.
That's what
It's
I'm saying.
somebody that has access,
Mhm.
generally. So what the program does is just kind of teaches you what to look for. And I mean, the three tenet words are it in a nutshell:
Mhm.
prevent, recognize, and it teaches you how to respond, both in how to help. I mean, we're not going out and, you know, we're not law enforcement. We're,
Right.
we're not that.
Mm-mm.
It's just to enlighten people, and really what I think we want to do is make a cultural shift
Yeah.
within the sport, because we all can name. And the sport is just, let me say this too. The sport is just a microcosm
Yes. Thank
of the
you.
world at large.
Yep.
This is not unique to our sport. This is just,
Mm-mm.
we're just a little pie section
Mhm.
of what's happening in the real world. Um, so I think that by just making everybody aware and making it not okay, not okay. It's not okay to show a picture of a naked junior to your other buddies in the group ring. It's not okay, and we need to get that mind shift where everybody's willing to stand up and say that's not okay, and I mean we have to be
This
our own.
course teaches you how, right? You
Yeah,
know what I mean, right?
yeah,
Like it prevents the vigilantism because it empowers well-intentioned people with exact protocol. What is breaking policy and who do I contact? What is breaking the law and who do I contact?
Mhm.
It goes in to make sure that, let's just say there's a victim and they come forward, right? The course will teach you exactly what you need to do to be the most helpful person so that you're not re-victimizing that person.
Yes.
And I mean, obviously the victims are our focus, but we want everybody to be a part of this and everyone to join. And I think the biggest fear that I hear is like this vigilantism is like, oh, I'm going to get me too'd. Like
Right.
it has a very negative context. But if you really take the course seriously, it puts all these steps in place to prevent exactly that.
Right.
Because you leave that course understanding, okay, this was policy that was broken.
Mhm.
I'm going to just write something down for the show chairman and we're going to deal with it that way.
Mhm.
And it might not even be a bench. It might just be a conversation, something that gets written down with AKC and filed away. But it's still showing that young person, no, no, we've got your back. You should feel comfortable and safe here without, like the negative parts of peer pressure coming down on the perpetrator. Like this is just for the law to deal with. It's not even for AKC to deal with.
Right.
What we hope is that AKC will see what we're trying to do and educate and empower, and we can be an ally to them.
Yeah.
So that's our
Yeah. I like that ally position. Lindsay, talk to me a little bit. I am not attempting to denigrate it all, but I am asking you guys to respond to things that people have said to me. And the things that people have said to me are that, and this one I've heard more than once, it's going to allow the perpetrator to take this, and they're just going to be more successful at their attacks. So
I've seen that too. Is, oh, if they're wearing a pin, then they're gonna someone's gonna go to them, and they're gonna, they're gonna be able to take advantage of that person. And when you start to think about the layers that would have to happen for that to actually be true, I think you start to realize that that's not super possible. And if people and parents, and I definitely think parents have to take a role. And look, I'm an aunt, I'm not a parent, which is another reason
Same.
why I value the course.
Yep.
Because it teaches me things too, to not put myself in a vulnerable position, but that's another subject. To go back to your question, I think that okay, someone's wearing a pin and they do have ill intent. Well, you have to have somebody who's first had a prior bad experience with somebody else, who then goes to somebody else that happens to have a pin. And I just feel like that starts to get, maybe that happens, but I think that the actual chances of that happening are slimmer. And I think that if more people are aware and sort of paying attention, that that's not going to be that much of a concern.
Yeah,
And
see,
even to
that's the thing
elaborate,
for me is that I think we need to make the environment such that the bad actors are really uncomfortable there. So because they know that there are multiple people at the dog show who've taken this training and who are more aware of what to look for and are more likely to see it. Like if you ever talk to Pam Bruce, she can see Creepville a mile away, but that was her living. I mean, that's what she did as a detective. So I think part of this is to make the dog shows, what I want to do is make the dog shows a really uncomfortable place for anybody who wants to be a bad actor in this way. And frankly, in the past, it hasn't been.
Yep.
It hasn't been.
Well, and I
no.
think the good old boy system exists.
Yep.
We
Yeah, but it's
protect
not
our
just
own.
the boys.
I
It's
oh
not, I
oh
can't
trust me,
stress
I know.
that
I
enough.
say good old boy, and I'd like to frame that in a better way. So Carissa,
Yeah.
you go.
I want to elaborate too. That pin, that doesn't give you access to children.
Mhm,
It's bringing awareness to the course.
mhm.
And what our hope is to grow our ShowSafe program into something that models a little more like Take the Lead, where
Right.
we can offer help and guidance and stuff with
Amazing.
other awesome professionals that are in our sport.
Yeah.
They're not the dog handlers. They're the people that have dedicated their lives, like Pam Bruce, like Donald Sturts. Like,
Mhm,
we have wonderful people, too many to name, quite honestly,
mhm.
but everybody's going to bring in what they're best at. And we want to keep growing. So I cannot stress this enough. That pin does not give you access to a child. It does not make you more special or more important. It simply brings awareness to the program. It is not a free pass, and you can be wearing that pin. And if you get reported, because I also have this pin, I know who to contact. I'm not going to deal with you. I'm just going to call the police. And it doesn't matter what pins you have on your lapel. This is not a safety pin. This is not a free access to all children pin. This is simply bringing awareness and showing support of a beautiful program.
Right. So if someone sees it, if you're in the ring next to somebody and they say, "Oh, what's that? What's that pin about?"
Mhm,
It gives anybody who's been through the course the
mhm.
opportunity to tell them
Yep.
and
Yeah.
tell them the opportunities that are out there.
Right. So, and I'll open this as a free for all, whoever wants to jump in on it, because this is sort of my space, and Chris and Mary, your moms, maybe you can help me. I want the children to be educated and empowered. I don't want them to feel as if they have no power. And that's super, super important to me. So, can we talk a little bit about how to do that in a good and age appropriate way?
Yeah, Safe
Sure.
Sport has multi-tiered I mean, the platform now, the Safe Sport platform that we're utilizing, and with their blessing, um, has tiers for different levels. You know, they have education for 9 to 12 year olds. They have education for teens. They have all these different tiers. And we're also hoping, and Rissa, you can jump in on this too. We're hoping to get information sent out, age appropriate information for the parents and the children when they apply for a junior's number.
Yes.
So when they
Yeah.
apply for a junior's number, they'll get a packet which will include some information about this and the program and what we're doing and where and resources
Right.
that they can
Yeah.
get to.
Carissa
And then
too. Oh, I
it,
was gonna say, Carissa, you should speak about what you do at Dobermans that we're hoping to scale,
yeah.
nationwide.
So initially, we were just trying to like figure out a way to bring forward this education in a practical way that isn't like, oh my God, watch out for the boogeyman. Like, we don't want to scare
Right.
people away from our
Right.
sport at
Right.
all.
Right.
So I had told these ladies what we incorporated into the Doberman Juniors Clinic. So, like, every year, the Friday before the junior show at the National, we give a 2 hour, that's what it's slotted. It usually goes about four, but we give um, a junior seminar. So it starts with like our breed is amazing because like Andy Litton will come and spend 3 hours with these kids answering endless questions. He brings his specials so they can like get to show these like famous stuff. Like, you should see
Right.
their little hearts light up, right?
Yeah.
And that's what they're there for, right? So we have their full attention. And then we go into, how do you keep your dog safe when you're at the dog show? How do you get your dog ring ready? And what we've added over the past few years is, how do we keep ourselves safe? What is good behavior versus bad behavior? And we literally run through scenarios. My eldest is on the autistic spectrum, right? So a lot of social skills have to be taught. And I have taken a lot of what I learned through those beautiful teachers and applied that to teaching the kids. And they learn so well from just like real life scenarios. And an example of the program working is we had a 17-year-old, a male at the National, a male handler was taking pictures of her. The why, I don't know, and I'm not going to assume that I know at all. Still, inappropriate. He's taking pictures of her. She knows that that's inappropriate and that she has rights because we've discussed things like that. She walks right up to him and she said, "I'm not comfortable with you taking pictures of me and I'd like you to delete them." He said no. He was kind of a jerk, but she knew exactly what to do. This didn't escalate and blow up. This was dealt with immediately because she knew. What I do is I go get the show chair. The show chair went and got me as head of the juniors committee. We got another board member. We walked over, we had a conversation. The pictures were deleted. There was very firm discussions because, again, it's not about coming down on that one person and throwing them under the bus and taking away their living. It's about making that person so uncomfortable to behave that way that they choose not to.
Yeah, that's it in a
They
nutshell.
yeah, so, but it worked. There was no big catastrophic thing. You didn't see anything on Facebook. You didn't see anything anywhere. But I promise you, every one of those junior girls saw that happen and they felt empowered. They felt like, you know what? People will listen to me if I'm really uncomfortable.
Right.
I can reach out and talk, and I actually know where to go and who to talk to. So we want to bring that program to every kennel club that will have us, every breed parent club that will have us. And we want to teach them how to give their own seminars so that we're all giving the same united message. And we just want to support the clubs in doing that in a healthy and empowering way instead of it being like divisive and scary. We don't want that. We want to just incorporate it. How do you take good care of your dog? We drill that into these little people. We don't want we like if you liken it to like the truck of golden retrievers that had that terrible thing happen, right? What if that girl had just been given more information before that happened? You know, and it doesn't matter whose job it is to seek out the information. What we're saying is, let's not wait for people to come find us. Let's just be proactive. Same thing. You know, let's say it wasn't a truck of golden retrievers and it was a possible rape situation. She would have known what to do because we would have already reached her. She would have already had this information. So we want to include it. How do you keep your dog safe? How do you keep yourself safe? How do you get your dog ring ready? It's all just good information to have, whether you stay in dogs or whether you go out into the real world and work in a corporate environment. So we just want to make it inclusive.
I talk a lot, and you guys anybody can jump in on this one. On the podcast, when I'm with juniors, whatever, junior showmanship and being in dogs, what is it, like 10% of those kids stay in dogs, right? But they all go out into the real world.
Yeah.
And the knowledge that I acquired in 4-H and junior showmanship, the knowledge of all of these young people that I've spoken to on the podcast who started in juniors and now have really important jobs, they started with the skill set that they acquired in juniors, and adding this to that skill set to me is just an absolute no-brainer.
Yeah. And think of how it has a lasting impact. Like, think of that first, you know, guy or girl who goes out. We've prepared them and they go out into the world and they really see how useful that knowledge is. And they have their family. You know, what sport are they going to choose to do with their family? They're going to choose to do the sport that gave them the tools they needed to be successful people. So I just feel like if we stay focused on that goal, we're going to help so many people. And it's not going to be this, you know, people won't feel the same injustice and feel the need to be vigilantes on Facebook because we have a system that's in place, a proven system that, you know, Olympic teams take on because they believe in it so much. So we're not writing this content. We're just utilizing what's out there already and is already successful in other sports.
Excellent. Okay, Lindsay, any closing comments?
Well, I just think I would add that this is all supposed to be positive. You know, like there's nothing that you're going to learn. There's nothing that you're going to get from Safe Sport. There's nothing that any of us that are involved with it are going to do that's going to be detrimental. And so I think, you know, like I alluded to earlier, like this is something that can unite us all. Like we can all be passionate about, you know, protecting our children and empowering our children. And also advocating for the adults that want to help. I mean, our sport is filled with so many amazing people who show dogs, they're familiar with dog care, and then they also have other experiences in life and other professions that can help. And you know, you have, I mean, hundreds, and I don't want to be dramatic, but even, you know, in the thousands of people right now who are fired up about this and want to do something. And so we're simply giving an opportunity for people to learn more and feel like they have a role in our community that's positive.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Mary.
I think we wanted to take, I just think we wanted to, Lindsay, you know, started it when she emailed me and I said, yeah, you know what, Laura and Carissa are really fired up about it too. Laura King. I said, reach out to them. I said,
I was fired up too, but I'm saying.
Yeah. And I was just, I mean, it was just like, well, let's do it. I mean, let's just do it, you know? And I think that more knowledge is always a better thing. You know, it's always a better thing. And like Carissa said, this isn't a vigilante thing. It's just empowering people to know what to do in situations that they might find themselves in. So
knowledge is power, people. That is the thing. Yeah. Ladies, thank you. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for sharing your stories. And thank you for creating this grassroots movement. And I think I always think of the fact that one person can make a difference. And I think that we're looking at a few of them that really are making an effort to do that. So thank you
Yeah.
very, very much.
Yeah.
Thanks
Can
for
I add
having
one thing,
us.
Laura? I just
Absolutely,
wanted
Mary.
to say that anybody who wants more information,
Yes.
probably we're going to get a Facebook page, but like we're 3 days old in this,
Right.
so it's
Right.
really
And this
new.
podcast,
It's really
it's going to be a
new.
minute. So as soon
Yeah.
as you guys have information, shoot it to me. I will add any contact information that you want me to put. I will put in the show notes on the website so people can
Okay.
go
Yeah.
there, click whatever it is you have, and
We're going to
we
need a
will
lot
make.
of pins. We're going to
Yes,
need a lot of
we're
Yes.
going to need a
pins.
lot of pens.
A lot of pins.
I can't tell you how many I've already seen, like in the last day, that people have already
Yeah.
gone through it.
Yeah. People are taking
I
it. Yeah.
personally am going to need a minute because it's going to be a lot for me personally, but I'm saying I'm looking forward to it. So thanks, guys. Really
Yeah.
appreciate
You're
it.
Thank
welcome.
you.
Thank you for
Thank
the
you for the
platform.
opportunity.
Anytime.
Yep.
Anytime. And I mean that.